Monday Morning Cooking Club is a group of 6 women from Sydney, Australia. We come together every single Monday morning so that we can test and taste the very best recipes from our food-obsessed community so that we can then preserve and share them with the rest of the world.
I love feeding my family good food.
I love how our cookbooks present a picture to the world, a snapshot of our community that just shows how food obsessed we are.
I grew up with my mother and my grandmother always in the kitchen. I think everybody loves my cheesecake, and now I've taught my daughter to make it, and that's really given me something really special.
We find the most amazing recipes, we get to test them, we get to cook them, and then we share them with everyone.
The dish that I love making is the slow cooked lamb. I love the fact that you put it on a big dish and you serve it to your whole family. It's like you're giving them love.
My favourite dish really changes every week. It's almost like asking which is your favourite child. But at the moment I feel so close to my late Auntie Myrna and her cabbage rolls. And they are a recipe that takes me right back to my childhood. I'm transported back and remembering her warmth, and that's what a dish can do.
Mondays means laughter and cooking and eating, and Mondays is the best day of the week.
Hi everyone, I'm so proud to host Lisa from Australia with me. Hi Lisa.
Good morning, good evening, I should say.
Good morning.
We started out trying to find the best recipes from the best cooks in Sydney's Jewish community because, as many of you know, for those of us who are Jewish, it's always about the food. Everything is about the food. We are food obsessed, whether it's the festivals, whether it's Shabbat, whether it's what we take someone when they're sick, when someone has passed away. It's all about the food. So we wanted to capture that in this book. And along with the recipes that we collected from other people and ourselves, our families, we wanted to tell the stories of the people, how they learnt to cook, where they came from, how they ended up in Sydney. Sydney's a huge melting pot within the Jewish community, such a diverse community. People have come from all over the world, pretty much every country where Jewish people have ever lived have ended up in Australia. So we've got this beautiful community that we wanted to share with the world. So fast forward, that was the first book, 2011, about the Sydney community. Did very well, sold across Australia really well. And then we decided we needed to sell across the world and we needed to expand. Second book, we went Australia-wide and found the best recipes from the best Jewish kitchens in Australia. Third book, that was 2014. Third book, 2017, we decided to go global and found the best recipes from the best Jewish kitchens we could find across the whole world. And that was, and then our most recent book, which was just last year, is a sweet book where we've collected sweet recipes from Jewish kitchens, mainly in Australia, but across the world as well. So 4 books under our belt under the name Monday Morning Cooking Club, and sold worldwide. And it's been a joy to collect and share the recipes and stories of our community at this time.
Amazing, amazing. It's just, wow, so impressive, Lisa. 4 books. And, you know, it's not just the collection of recipes, it's the added value of the sense of community and belonging. Can you share a story, an anecdote with us from one of the books about a recipe that is beyond a recipe, that there's a story behind it?
Yeah. So many of our recipes have stories that we tell over and over again because they are so remarkable in the story that they're actually telling. For example, my sister-in-law's mother, Elizabeth, who passed away quite a few years ago now, was a survivor. So her and her siblings went through the camps. Her parents were killed. They came from Hungary. They went to Hungary after the war and then ended up in Australia in the late 1940s, and came to Australia with nothing. I don't mean no physical possessions, but I mean their cultural heritage was just like wiped out, in the sense that their parents, you know, they were young, they were teenagers. Their parents carried everything like our parents do when we're teenagers. And then suddenly they're in Australia, in a new country, and they have to find their way. And Elizabeth told the story how she went to someone's house for afternoon tea, and she was served this poppy seed strudel that was exactly the same as her mother used to make. Now, she'd never had a recipe because, you know, at a 16-year-old, why would you have your mother's recipe sort of thing? And then her mother wasn't around anymore. So this woman shared the recipe with Elizabeth. Elizabeth started making it, and it was like this recipe in its journey took a break of a generation, in a sense, and came back to her. She then taught it to her daughter and to me. I actually spent time in the kitchen with Elizabeth, who told me her story and taught me the recipe. I videoed it, I photographed it, everything, so that the recipe could be recreated for future generations. And now it's in the book, and it's a legacy forever.
Speaking of food, what's the one thing that we will always find on your Sukkot table that you make? Do you have any dish that you make especially for Sukkot?
I think there are two things for me that shout Sukkot. Okay, one is my Auntie Myrna's cabbage rolls. Okay, because we eat stuffed foods and we eat fruit of the harvest. So this is a cabbage leaf stuffed with meat and rice, and that is for me so symbolic of this time of the year. So that'll be on the table, and of course my challah with apples and honey and cinnamon inside. So it's, you know, it's enclosed in the challah dough, and it's the most beautiful thing.
You know, I was thinking about Sukkot, that the people of Israel, you know, while they were in the desert, they built a sukkah, and that's the reason we're sitting in a sukkah. So it's all about memory and preserving traditions. And I hear from you that you went to find recipes, but you found on the way so many memories, so many, you know, traditions, and so many emotions around it. And I was kind of wondering, what's your take on it? What do you think? It's in what way is it beyond food?
I think there's always a task ahead, because we hear so often when people read our books and say, oh, that's a recipe that my grandmother used to make and we never wrote it down, and now they've got this version of it. Sometimes they say, oh, my mum used to make some biscuit and I never got the recipe and now it's lost. I remember my best friend growing up, we used to go there all the time, and her mother made the best bean soup that was always on the stove, and we would eat it out of the pot. And her mother passed away really young. Recipe's gone, never been written down. And I've been talking to my friend about this for 30 years, how we just should have taken the time. And that's my thing that the next generation have to do, is to not wait till someone's old or it's too late to get a recipe. They need to take it seriously and stand with their family members or whoever it is in the kitchen and write it down and take a video and take photos and try to make these dishes themselves, so that the recipes can be passed down to the next generation. Because otherwise they're lost. And along with the recipes is tradition. And when tradition is lost, then what is there, you know, to keep us together as a community?